clinic will be on the proper installation, maintenance, adjustment, and coupler height on Kadee couplers. Tonight's clinic will be given by one of our own members, Mr. Bill Topham. Let's give Bill a big hand.
Thank you. First, I'll mention the items that you need to accumulate. Need a container of graphite, standard industrial razor blade, a business card, Swiss files, a wedge shape, flat, and round. Then you need your Kadee couplers, which consist of three major parts: the box, the coupler itself, and the spring. Then a block of wood if you want, or later on, as you see, we can use the edge of the desk. And for some people, a magnifocuser. I always start out, check the couplers and see how they go together. And feel the friction. Now, right now, it may not feel like there's too much friction there as they come out of the box. But when we get done, it'll be smooth as ice. So the first thing I do, I take the flat file, and very lightly, without pressing on it, really, just go over these faces of the coupler here, in case there's something on there. They're usually pretty good. Kadee couplers, Kadee company does a nice job. Then I take the round file and I go through the hole, just in case there's any burrs on the parting bead there. Then I hold the coupler open, and with the flat file, get the right one here, I'm going to take that parting bead off the coupler there. And you have to roll the coupler a little bit in order to get all of the surfaces clear back to the corner of the knuckle.
Right now you're working the face of the knuckle?
Right, I'm working on the face of the knuckle, smoothing it up. I want the whole thing bright. I don't want to see any black on it at all. Then I go down in this area opposite the knuckle here, because there is a parting bead in there also. Take that off, and then I roll the file over the edge of it, so there's no burr out on this edge right here.
That's the face where the knuckle from the other coupler would
Right.
run into.
And I take the round file and I go in behind the knuckle. Get rid of any burrs in there.
Turn your hand a little bit.
Then I'll use the wedge shape file and see that I've got a sharp edge behind the knuckle, and then I'll go across the lip on the knuckle on the outside to get rid of the parting bead that is there. I take a look at it and see how good it looks. That's all the filing that's needed on that coupler right now. I'll take this business card. I'm going to fold it at right angles. Put a little graphite on it, right out near the edge. And I'm going to take the coupler, hold it by the shank, and rub the knuckle face in that graphite. And I rock it so that I get all surfaces. And you can press down pretty hard on this. I've never broken one yet. I've put in over 300 pair of them. But you rock that every which way, sideways and fore and aft, so that you polish all the surfaces on that knuckle.
Wouldn't the graphite come off after a while?
Once you get it polished, this is actually like a lapping compound or grinding compound. I'm burnishing it, and once it's burnished, it will remain smooth. I've had some that are, say, 20 years in service, and I've never had to repeat this operation. I'm going to do the same thing to this other one.
Now, have you used any of the Delrin Shank type, the number, 26s and 27 type couplers?
No, I haven't. These are the 5 and 10s, which I find work the best, and also they work the best in the coupler pocket furnished by KD. They will fit in Athearn or roundhouse pockets, but they will not operate as well as they do in the KD pocket. So it's worthwhile to grind the cast-on pocket off of any equipment that you buy and mount the KD pocket. Just seems to be better all the way around. I'm going to go over this knuckle like I did the other one.
So if I understand what you just said, Bill, on, say, Athearn cars, you remove the Athearn coupler pocket with the clamp-on lid,
Right.
and drill and tap to receive a KD coupler box
Yes.
along with the coupler.
Because the cover, particularly on the Athearn cars, tends to loosen up and drop down, and then your coupler will sag and catch on the turnouts where your stock rail or point rail crosses.
When you mount that box, do you go through the center hole or do you go through the outer two holes?
I go through the outer two holes. I
With what, an
find
odd 80?
it's well worthwhile. An odd 80 for a number 2 wood screw, depending on whether you're going into wood or metal or plastic. I will generally thread into plastic or thread into metal, but into wood, why?
The newer Athearn cars, they've changed the weights around so you don't have that metal surface all the way to the end of the car.
It doesn't matter. You can set a pocket up in the proper position, center punch it. Usually mark it at least with a lead pencil down through the hole, and then drill 2 holes and tap them, and I find there's no problem with plastic holding under those circumstances. I'm using this wedge file to get in behind that knuckle, clean out any burrs in behind that, because there's a little lip on there which has to grip the other coupler. And the reason for doing all of this is to allow vertical motion if you go over uneven trackage. And the couplers then won't grab each other and lift the wheels above the flange area and derail you. And usually the graphite used initially is sufficient for several couplers. Now you notice I'm rocking it in order to get all the faces of that rounded part of the knuckle. Then I'll rock it sideways so that I knock any burrs off of the top and bottom of the knuckle. Now after you've done that, if you want to prove there's been an improvement, push them together and you cannot feel anything. There is absolutely no resistance to that at all. Whereas originally, I could feel a definite resistance when they went together. So, and that is all the treatment those knuckles will ever need, at least as far as I know. Like I say, I've gone 20 years. So, now the reason for the razor blade is to be able to cut the pocket off of the sprue here. Sprue becomes junk. I take the pocket itself and with a file, these have been improved considerably over what they were even a couple of years ago, but I find it doesn't hurt just to be sure there's no burrs on the bottom of that pocket, and I just hit the sides just to be sure there's nothing there too.
They've changed.
And with the cover,
They've changed the end of which they cast them now. Cast it to the sprue, so the working end is a lot cleaner than it used to be on the old pockets.
It definitely is. Now, this is merely an appearance item, but there's a little lip on the pocket that turns up, and that's on the top side, goes up against the car floor. I like to take the parting bead off of that and just make it smooth, but this is strictly an appearance item. It has nothing to do with operation. Now we're ready to start putting it together. We pick up a spring. Spring goes into the cover. And the coupler goes into that. With the uncoupling wire on the opposite side from the pocket. Or from the cover, I mean. Then you slip the pocket on, and I sort of go in from the back. If you go in from the top and put it right on top, there's a chance you can hit the spring and get it pinched in between the pocket and the cover and bend it out of shape. Now, if you handle this lightly, that will stay together almost by itself, but you don't want to shake it a whole lot. At this point, I would mount it on the car. Once on the car, I then take the graphite and I run it down both sides of the coupler into the pocket.
Are you getting a considerable amount inside?
I get quite a lot in there. Then I take and rub this sideways. I press it on the bottom, press it on the top, alternately. And I'm doing this fairly hard. Again, I've never broken anything doing this.
Bill,
Yeah.
I found that the lead edge of that spring is usually very rough, and what you're doing is actually honing that lead edge of that spring down.
The bronze spring right along this edge right here is what it's referring to, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Then I dumped the graphite out. And don't forget, this is mounted on the car. We're now finished. Look too good. The other one, I'll do the same thing with.
By putting the graphite in there, in the coupler box, that'll guarantee that the coupler will delay when it's supposed to.
It makes it move sideways very easily. It reduces all the friction on the lateral motion. And I found there again, once in a while during operation, coupler may stick and not swing sideways easily. And this might be after 5 or 10 years of operation, however. So I will then, without removing the coupler from the car, I will go ahead and put graphite back in the pocket and work the coupler side to side just as I did originally. Now, I have noticed occasionally when people use the pocket that comes cast on a locomotive, for instance, they find that this bronze spring doesn't easily fit on the top, so they put it on the bottom. It does not function in the same manner if you do that. You will not get delayed uncoupling when you do that. This snaps, you can feel it snap together and stays together fairly well. So you always want that spring on the top of the pocket. And even on locomotives, I will grind off the pocket which comes cast on them and mount this pocket, because the coupler does work far better in its own pocket. Although it will fit the others, for some reason it never functions as well. Dump the surplus out. Now I've got 2 couplers which can be mounted on a car.
Do you,
These are all the tools you need. It's very simple.
do you put any lubricant down actually into the knuckle itself?
No, I never have. I find they work very good. Kadee does a marvelous job with such a small item, I think, and it's a very precision item, and it's worthwhile doing this, because once you've done it this way, and you're not talking about more than 15 minutes per car to take this extra time, you've fixed that coupler for a lifetime of use. You do not have to go back and do the job over again. I find that it's very successful and it's well worthwhile. And most of this information is on the package, although they do not mention doing this. But I found that's the easiest way to burnish that knuckle, and it makes it very smooth. If any of you want to pick these up and push them together, you'll see how smooth they go together. And then take a pair that you've just bought and push them together and see the difference in the amount of friction there. And this is particularly necessary nowadays when you have cars with wheels that roll very easily. You go butt up against that car and it just keeps moving away from you because the coupler won't make up. So you want that coupler knuckle to be as smooth as possible.
May I make a little suggestion that you don't weather the car and use Tester's dull coat on it after you polish that thing?
After the coupler is mounted, if I do any painting or weathering or clear coating of the car, I take a piece of masking tape and wrap it around the knuckle and around the uncoupling wire and seal it off so it doesn't get any paint on it. This concludes the clinic, unless you have some other questions.
What do you find is the easiest way to put the coupler springs in that and then get lost?
Kadee makes a device which has a dimple in it, and you can pick up the spring with that and then slide it right in. Put it in at one end of the spring, and you push it up against the opposite side where you have the long end of the spring, and then just push it in there and hold the spring in while you pull the tool out of the spring. I did not bring that tonight because I didn't think about it.
It works very well.
Yes.
It's been good.
Anybody else have any other questions? Hearing none? We thank you, Bill. It was a most informative clinic, and I'm sure everybody here picked up some little tidbits on how to properly install and maintain their Kadee couplers.